been talking about we don't, invest enough in this river for years. When are we gonna do something about it? So it's a gathering space in the heart of the city, that they're calling for. And 4 and 5 are, we need a comprehensive plan to do this. We can't just keep putting in, this idea or that idea. We really need a plan for the downtown. And the last one is what I call the festival strategy, right? We like to have a good time. We want festivals that are easy access, cheap to get into, have some fun and gather together and celebrate as a community. So, I don't know if I did my 10 minutes, Camila, but I talked about as fast as I could here to cover a whole bunch of slides. So what's next is sharing. So we're sharing. What do we need from you? We want to come out to your community groups. We want to come tell you this is what's going on. We've got some things like this is how you can get involved, right? We're not to the place of like, here's the committee because we just got through with this, but we're getting there. But we want to tell you what's going on. We need your excitement. We want to know what you're excited about. And then get you in the loop so that when we are ready to talk about literacy and how that needs to happen, when we talk about how we make stronger schools, we need your input and we need your involvement in this. So, be in the know, talk it up, learn more. It's our community. It's only as great as the people that are here and who are willing to make that difference. Evan Rizal, Project Wichita, Misty Bruckner, Wichita State. Is that pretty close to 10 minutes? All right. All right. We're going to take questions. But I'm not going to be the question person who gets to choose who's asking the question.
Any questions?
Are there any groups right now that volunteer or accept volunteers to help with reading literacy?
There are. There are. And there is, thank you, council member. Sorry, I'm destroying property. There are several. Part of the challenge is that it's not, this is Misty's editorializing, right? That we couldn't figure out a way that it was well coordinated, right? To have the multiple impact that it could. There are some great programs in a lot of different schools that are going on, and we're not asking anybody to stop what they're doing. We're asking how can we come together to leverage that and have the greatest impact, and what can we learn from each other that's working. And I think our educators can tell us what they need and how we can be supportive of
And that's the information that we would use in order to give our ideas?
Yes, you can send it there, absolutely. And send your name in, there's a place where you can sign up to get involved, and then we can keep you on that list to tell you more about that.
All right, thank you.
You bet, thank you.
Any other questions? Ben?
I'll put a point in, Read to Succeed,
Yeah.
it's a United Way program, 2-in-1 if you want to volunteer.
And each school district, because this is a regional plan, there's several of them out there. Kansas Health Foundation is starting some big efforts. United Way has some other things with the Dolly Parton Library, so there's a lot of cool things. It's just trying to get everybody moving in the same way.
Any other questions? Mr. Barnes?
Hey, Mr.
Hello, Mr. Rice.
Thank you for the presentation. So, Mr. The one thing, and we've had a lot of conversation over the last couple 2-3 years in here about what we can do. And this is encompassing Wichita. And so my focus has always been back to you about my northeast area of my community around Wichita State. But Wichita State right now is our catalyst for making all of these changes you're talking about, education, economic development, those things possible. And rejuvenate production. What that says, Misty, is that Wichita State has probably everything that we're trying to do in the nucleus to help a lot of that happen here. It sits right in the core of our neighborhood. And I've talked to you, my biggest push has been about education, and you told me that's one of your #1 drivers is improving education in here. And I've reached out, and it's not all Wichita State, but it's part of our community as well, is that we have to get across the street from where we live in our neighborhoods to Wichita State. All those opportunities in education and all those things intersect there, but we're ships in the night, passing each other. We don't know what's going on, and Wichita State just reaches out so far. And so when I proposed to you, we started in 3rd grade, I said we needed a tutoring program. Each of our community churches and organizations tries to have that, but we're not equipped with the tutors, nor the resources, nor the technology to keep up. We're barely scratching the surface. But Wichita State has everything we're needing, from buildings to tutors to latest computers and everything, 14,000 potential tutors sitting on their campus to work with our kids. So a K-5 tutoring program, I've been asking, can we get that set up on Wichita State University so that our kids get acclimated to being in that environment? And here, used to going over there, seeing all the technology, all the companies that are bringing the benefits to them, and what those jobs are, educate those kids, and that gives you a bigger pool in which to pull from.
You know, you and I are in a agreement with this, right? We just gotta keep singing that song. I think there's a lot of things. I think it's one, it's that exposure piece. I think it's, I will be one, I think the public schools and other schools are better equipped to do tutoring because of they're professionals who do that, but I agree, we gotta get kids on campus and we have to do better with tutoring, especially on the literacy part of that, so.
I just come back to this, Wichita State, you have the College of Education, you
Yep.
produce the teachers.
Yep.
You produce those to go out and tutor in these things in here. We got the College of Engineering, Business,
Mr. Bond, one question. Mr.
We're
Cook.
trying to move the ship, I agree, we are trying to move the ship, okay.
Not really anything to have them going by third grade and we're not good at that?
We need to have children reading at grade level by third grade, and we are not.
You might share why that is.
Well.
Third grade is when you shift from learning to read, to reading to learn.
Yeah.
And if they can't read in the third grade, they're dead.
Well, I think it becomes much more challenging for them to catch up. And so what we really know is by the time they're in kindergarten, right? And so even that, kids are at a disadvantage if they're not there. And so third grade is kind of a national benchmark, but I'll tell you the conversation is we need to start even younger with that. It needs to be even younger, and preschool and all of that availability is critical. So there's a lot of strategies. That's kind of our goal area.
All right, I had one more question, this young lady over here.
I'm a fifth grade teacher, and I see firsthand the struggles of leaders who don't have that phonics or that basic skills at fifth grade, and they're still at second, first grade. And a lot of those students are low-income families. So, but I think part of the question is, how do we get those low-income parents who spend their time working, providing for their children, to go out their way to tutor their students? Because all these students who have tutoring are the students who don't necessarily need it, they're just enriching that skill that they need. So we need the students who are lower income to have that extra support because their parents don't give them, not because they don't want to, but because they don't have the time or the money to invest in them. So a lot of those kids who are lower tier are because they don't have income or that extra support at home.
Yeah.
Or there are a lot of them are single families or foster care, so they don't have that support, that base that they need.
Absolutely. That was a big part of the conversation. I want to make sure that those focus groups there were education leaders in these groups, right? So there are several representatives, USD 259, Mays, the colleges that are involved. These are not easy issues. These are difficult, challenging, multiple barrier types of conversations. The best part I will tell you that came out of it was the conversation that these are our kids. And if we can get more people to talking about these are our kids, then I think we're better off. And how do we get our kids the services they need, no matter what family they might belong to, right? They're still our kids. So that was the best part of the conversation for me that came out of that. And we want people to be curious, right? That's the other part that I really thought was kind of the best part of the conversation. So I think I'm getting the game. And so I would encourage you to go to projectwichita.org, sign up. If you are in charge of a neighborhood group, and if you hosted a focus group, we're reaching back out to you. We need everybody's energy to move this forward. Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Again, the information was on the screen or on the wall. Please reach out to Project Wichita. Evan will listen to you. And those of us who were team leads, we will listen to you. So please reach out if you have questions, suggestions, or whatever that might be. Please reach out to Project Wichita. As we get ready for our next speaker, I do have a few things I want to announce, re-announce, continue to announce. First, Wichita Tech, WSU Tech, the Wichita Promise Program. You can see these flyers out there. Again, this is an opportunity for someone who is unemployed, underemployed, to go get a scholarship from funds that we took from the Hyatt and allocated towards WSU Tech. So you can get an education and get a better paying job in 6 weeks. So it's $2,500 to go through this training program. You are about 98% guaranteed to get a job at Spirit or Textron or one of our big companies in town. And you are pretty much guaranteed to make more than $45,000 a year. There is opportunity right now for anyone who needs that. So if you know someone unemployed, underemployed, they don't discriminate on age, send them to WSU Tech. If you live in District 1 or District 3, you are eligible for that scholarship. The scholarship is $1,500. For those who go to Spirit, because you think, man, that's another $1,000 I gotta come out of pocket. Spirit will pay $500. You are on the hook for $500 after you get a job making more than $45,000 a year. So, it won't hurt you. It's 6 weeks of sacrifice. I know it's tough, but if you know someone who needs that, it is life-changing. We have had almost 100 people in District 1 change their lives through these opportunities. Already. So we allocated $75,000 towards that. The money has not run out yet. If you know folks, let them know. One second. Second, February 23rd, at the center, 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Make sure you look at this flyer. As some of us talked about earlier with violence in our community, this will be our third Taking Action on Violence meeting. These are not normally panel discussions or just preaching to you. We all sit down at the table together to figure out some solutions to reduce violence. So I was happy to hear that violence has been reduced a bit. We have more work to do. We don't have any homicides yet. Hopefully we keep that going. But again, if we work together as a community, come into this meeting, this will be a great opportunity for us. And it will be youth-led. So one of the things that came out of our first two was we didn't have enough young people around the table. I always want to see more young people. So the youth group Progeny stepped up and said, well, we want to host it. We want to bring young people. So they are. There's also a cipher at the end. So for those who don't know what a cipher is, poetry, music, rap, these young people will express themselves through this art at the end. So that's part of the key to getting young people there. And there's free food. And there's free food. So, and we've got some bigger flyers. If you have a business or somewhere you want to hang those up, we have those available for you. Attendance is free. This is about community and building community and stopping violence. So we'd love to have you there. And then also, and I'll let Ms. Tadana talk a little more about this later, but we have our Grow with Google happening at the Maya Angelou Branch Library. So as you all know, we've tried to get more programming going, and Ms. Neal is here. She serves on the library board and our district advisory board. So this is gonna happen every Monday and Thursday from 6 to 9 at the Maya Angelou Library. Assistance with job applications, resumes, printing the documents, internet research, and other digital needs will be given first priority. So that's also extending the hours at the library. So that is going on. So our next presentation, I want to give that quick commercial break. Our next presentation is one that I think all of you are here for. Mr. Chris Hazlett with the City of Wichita will go.
We got one more commercial break.
Oh. All right, we'll go with KU with Mr. Victor. And then we will have our presentation with Chris Hazlett.
You almost forgot me. I'd like to say thank you to Councilman Brandon for giving me the opportunity to stand in front of you all today. Like they said, my name is Victor Okwo. I'm with the Sedgwick County Division of Health. And today I'm here to give you an insight on an exciting project that we're working on at the Division of Health. So Sedgwick County is partnering with United Way and Via Christi for what we call the Community Health Assessment. Now, a lot of you don't know what that means. It's really just a document stating what the community has said are its needs. You know, what you guys have said are the problems in your neighborhood, what you've said are the issues that you face every day. And documenting all this information and using it to make evidence-based processes, using it to make evidence-based, decisions that are based on the needs of the community. We're trying to do things differently in the health department and make decisions that are community-based, that have your voices in it, not what we think are the right issues in the community, but what you guys think. So this is an exciting project, and we're here to just ask you, if I understand that every one of us has meetings that we have to be at after here, but we just need 30 minutes of your time after this meeting to just sit down and talk about our 4 questions. It's going to be very short. In less than 30 minutes we'll be done, and whatever information you provide will tie into our community health assessment. So once again, I encourage, this is an opportunity to provide your input on a huge process. And I believe one thing we all have in common in this room is that we want to improve the health of Sedgwick County. We want to improve the health of our neighborhood. So this is an opportunity for you to provide your input and ultimately move our county forward. So I implore you to just take 30 minutes of your time and help me, because if I don't have anyone, I'm gonna be screwed when I go to work. So,
Say the zip code, brother.
yeah, and the zip codes we're working with, 67214, 67213, 67211, 67216, and 67218. And I believe some of us are always
Somebody
from
said
that zip
score.
code. So, if you can take the time, just 30 minutes after your meeting, to meet with me, and we can go through these questions, you have an exciting time. And it's Pamela.
Tell them my name.
Pamela King Bones, she's awesome. She's my favorite. I'm so sorry, I forgot to say that.
Sister had to beg for some attention. But these, we only have 4 questions. And, I took opera. We only had 4 questions to ask you in the next 30 minutes after the meeting. And we just are very grateful for those of you all who are willing to stay, answer these questions. We will be scribing and putting it together. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, one for commercial. All right, so for our next presentation, and I guess just to also set it up, so one of the things I heard 2 years ago when I was knocking the doors was it was always difficult to do business with the city. Folks didn't know how to do business with the city. And there were, they hadn't been to a how to do business with the city workshop in quite some time. So with that, and continuing to hear that, we thought about having Mr. Hazlett come and talk about doing business with the city, as well as our women and minority-owned businesses. That was one thing we've also heard, and we've heard that we weren't doing that great a job. So I asked him to report out where we were, and also help teach more people how to get involved and do business with the city. It's important to me because every week I get this packet this big for our council meetings, and 8 of those pages normally has a report to board of bids. And on that, we approve hundreds of thousands of dollars every week that goes out to local contractors doing work for the city. And why not have more people do business with the city? This is a great opportunity. There's always something to do, from design to construction to demolition to whatever it might be. There's opportunities here to do business with the city. So this is a great opportunity. Again, if you were here for that to learn, if you know other people who have businesses that we don't know about, because that is a struggle. We don't hear about every new business created. There are people who do great work that we don't know about as a city. And it's not that we're not trying, it's just there's no real connection between Secretary of State when you pay your payment and you're now a business. We don't get that report. So if you want to do business with the city, this is a great opportunity. We are open. You can always reach out to me or Chris himself. I'll connect you with Chris. But this morning is an opportunity to hear more of what they do, how to do business, ask questions, get some answers, and again, keep sharing this information. Because that's one thing I do want to see improved is more people doing business with the city and knowing how to do business with the city. So with that, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Councilmember Johnson. My name is Chris Hazlett. I'm the Contract Compliance Officer with the City of Wichita. I typically do events with Wayne Bell and the SBA. We do a lot of different workshops, how to do. So I'm in the business community, but I've never come out and actually spoke to a group like this. So as Mr. Johnson stated, when we met, we wanted to talk about with purchasing how we're always looking to expand our vendor base. But it's really getting the word out there on really where to register, where we post all of our solicitations, all of our bid results. And so this was an opportunity for me to come out and kind of tell our story. I've heard that over the last couple of years. A lot of people don't know what it is we do. They don't know what we spend our money on. They don't know how much we spend our money with. As he stated, he gets a thick book for every city council member meeting, and then every quarter, kind of hidden in there in the back, is the dollars that we spend within the city with our purchasing contracts, and then with our minority and women-owned spend. I don't think it's until next month, but for the fourth quarter, the city's paid out roughly $60 million Of that, 17% of it went to minority and women-owned businesses. For the entire year of 2018, we finished at about 17% spend with minority and women-owned businesses, and that's out of about $230 million. That is our highest percentage we've ever had since 2009. So really happy with that number. We've steadily grown it over the year, but we want to do better. That's why we're here. We want to let you know we are open. We are looking for vendors, and we're constantly looking to expand that vendor base. Before I forget, I do have another buyer here with me. Her name is Tracy Jordan. I'm just going to have her introduce herself and kind of just let you know what it is she buys.
Good morning. My name is Tracy Jordan, as you said. I am a buyer for the city of Wichita, and I purchase, or the bids that I bid out, or public works engineering projects, construction, water, sewer, paving. A lot of the bids that are upcoming for public works and utilities, a lot of times I don't see them until they're ready to bid them out. So you can go to the Public Works Utility site and see all the upcoming projects as well as the projects that are out for bid right now. And you'll also see those, and Chris will probably show you on the website where to find those. And if you have any questions afterwards, you can answer those for you.
What I had pulled up was our vendor services website. It's kind of our one-stop shop for everything. It's not part, you can link to it through the wichita.gov website, but it's actually our own page, ep.wichita.gov. And by the way, after the meeting, out on the table, I'm going to have some blue pamphlets. They're called How to Do Business with the City of Wichita, and I'll have my business cards out there, so please feel free to grab those. Pass them out to anybody who might be interested in doing work with us. They can always reach them out to me, and we can go over more of this in person or over the phone. But we have a vendor services website. That's where you register to become a vendor with the city. It's free. It takes you about 5 minutes to do. Most people have registered for something online, be it Amazon, Facebook, whatever. It's exactly the same process. We're looking for contact information, valid email address, and then we use a 5-digit commodity code system, and that's what we do, and use all of our solicitations. So you'll actually mark those and put those on your profile as well. Also, when the website pulls up, it's where we post all of our solicitations. So everything we're looking for, either in a bid or in a proposal, are all posted right there. And then we also post all of our bid results. So you can actually go back over the last 5 years and see everything we've bid out, who was bidding, and who was awarded. And that's important, and what I tell a lot of the new vendors that come into me is utilize the bid results to know who your competition is. So you know who you're going to be bidding against, the pricing, because it's very important. You have to come in qualified, and you're going to need to know your own pricing. So that's going to give you that. And then, depending on the size of your company, for example, we spend 80% of our dollars on road and water work. Some of that's pretty specialized, but also some of those projects are very large, like what Tracy goes through. Your company might not be able to be big enough to bid on some of that work, but you want to subcontract that out. So looking at the bid results gives you an idea of who our prime contractors are, so you can reach out to them. Gotcha. Excellent. Let's just scroll up to the top.
Right here.
Yep, right there. Right at the very top of the page. Registration. Just click on it and follow the links. Solicitations. That section right there is where we post all of our solicitations and all of our past bid results. Document inquiry. I like this section. Not only do we issue purchase orders for individual jobs, but we actually manage about 400 contracts for stuff that we purchase on a repeating time. Police uniforms, fire hydrants, stuff like that. You can actually scroll through our contracts and see what it is we contract out for. So a lot of information here on your fingertips. And then Camila, go back to the, just click on the city list, yeah, go back to the menu and scroll down to the bottom. Right there, go additional links. There we go. I hear a lot of time that, a lot of government red tape, and there's not a lot of red tape, it's just a lot of steps you gotta go through. City of Wichita has our own vendor registration, so does Sedgwick County, so does the school district, so does the state of Kansas. So I've given you additional links right here that you can actually go through, and you can find out how to do business with those entities, how to register with them, and then again, find out how to respond to bids and proposals with them. But at this time, I just want to open it up for questions. Like I said, I typically do this in business settings with matchmaker events and all of that, but not ever in a community base. So I'd like to open it up for questions. You guys feel free to ask me, and we'll go from there.
I know when I'm talking to people in the community that own businesses, do a lot of business in Wichita, a lot of people, they all know each other. It's, sort of key 10 families in Wichita who sort of know things and have relationships, have the big enough companies to be able to bid on these big projects. I wonder, is there any kind of a thought process that we can ask for these key big multi-contract bidders in Wichita to mentor people, minorities and women in their companies, so that we can encourage these relationship building to people who don't normally have access? I mean, if you're not built, if you're not born with a certain last name, you just don't get access to some of this stuff. So just sort of encouraging that kind of.
Great question, and I know SBA has a mentor protege type program as well here within the community. So I sat on a committee with the school district, Sedgwick County, McConnell Air Force Base, Wichita State, and of course our purchasing entity. And we've discussed at length about trying to get a mentor protege program going. How that looks, where to get it started, do we make it just government entities, do we try to get it? We're going down that road. I think it's a great idea, but like I said, I know SBA has an established program already, and maybe Wayne, I'm not sure what all your presentation is, but maybe you could even
I'll talk a little bit about
Perfect.
business mentoring and a group that can support that. But I think that's a great idea. If we can get existing business owners who are willing to mentor, I'd like to be a part of helping to coordinate that.
Can we just go ahead and invite you up and you can tag team?
Sure, Brad.
There's a group out of Kansas City, and they actually oversee Nebraska, Colorado, Kansas, and just a portion of Kansas City, Mountain Plains Minority Supplier Development Group. We had actually worked with them for the last year and a half about trying to help us with, at least on the government side, a mentor protege program. So that is going down the road. It is a great idea. It's still, we got some work in front of us.
I love that you already have it on the plate. I love that.
Yes.
I'd like for you to kind of break out that 17%. Is that 17% that you say to spend with women and minority-owned business? Is it in construction? Is it in professionals? How much in construction? How much in professional services? How much in goods and services?
Great question. I don't actually have that broke down to where I can tell you within there where that 17%. Would have to go back and dig that. It's typically not something that we pull out and break down, but that's definitely information I could get and break that down for you, because the engineering side goes hand in hand with our construction side, obviously. So there's going to be most of our spend is going to be through there on the engineering and then the construction side.
And then one follow-up is, I know if you're a women or minority-owned business with the city of Wichita, you're listed as an emerging business. So how do you track by gender and ethnicity if we're only listed as emerging business? In other words, who reports back to tell you whether or not it was minority-owned, women-owned, or just a small emerging business?
Great question. I'm going to clear it up for you. We actually report based on what you tell us you are. If you're an African-American owned business, that's what we report you as, not an emerging business. That's a separate certification that you have to actually apply for through me. I manage that program. It's a small, EBE is what we call it, Emerging Business Enterprise. It's for small businesses. It's a race-neutral program, and it's based on the state's Disadvantaged Business Enterprise program. It's good for 3 years. It's free certification, And the biggest benefit of that certification is that we pay EBEs net 10 versus net 30s. They're smaller businesses. We want to get that money out to them sooner. We base the size of the company on the SBA size standards, is what it is. So, going back to your question, when you sign up and register as a vendor, you'll actually mark what kind of vendor status you have, be it a veteran-owned, minority status, all of that. That's how we track it. So when I pull my report, it's actually pulled off of what it is you let us know. So it's not all EB. I actually break it down from African-American, Hispanic, women-owned, Asian-owned, that way.
So you know the levels of participation on all of those?
Correct. Yep, I get it all, for sure. And then if you're an EBE firm, we don't double report. It actually, I get an EBE only report that then also breaks down that status of what it is you've already given.
Since you're city, how are you connected with the new housing grad program or whatever? And that being said, how can minorities participate in that program, learning those skills in carpentry and stuff like that? How would they be able to become part of that system?
So purchasing issued the proposal to bring on the prime contractor for that. Nothing that housing is doing is going through purchasing in regards to looking for vendors for that program. I can direct you to the person who does. His name is Brad Snap. He's the housing manager with our Housing and Community Services Department. In fact, I just had an email on it yesterday from somebody in the public. I directed him to Brad to answer all of the questions that they might have over that. I do know through that program, their number one focus is looking at Section 3 businesses. And to my knowledge, Section 3 businesses are those that are, the owner is either lives within public housing or the majority of the employees do. There's a whole list of criteria. But housing and community services. And there's not a lot on our website, Wichita.gov, that talks about it, because even I was looking for stuff on it yesterday, and I know about the program. But Brad Snap is his name, and I'd be happy if anybody, when you get my card, if you're interested in that, shoot me an email. I can give you his contact information. He's also listed on Wichita.gov under the Housing and Community Services website. But there's a complete program manager over that who can actually go and answer all those questions.
Thank you.
Hi, another question on the 17%. Do you have a breakdown? Is it like a company getting most of the minority business, or do you have a breakdown of how many different companies comprise that 17%?
Yeah, I get on my report, I get a breakdown of the company and the dollars that we spent with them for that quarter, of which then we total it for the whole year. So yeah, I get the actual name of the company.
Do you
Yep.
have it available?
With me, I don't, but that's not typically something that we actually have ever given out. I do know even when we supplied the numbers to the city council, it's just numbers in whole. It's actually not all. I have no problem ever wanting to give that list out. So we never have before, but I have.
So I was just wondering if it's like a company that's getting, most of the contracts or whatever.
Well, so like I said, about 80% of our spend is on construction or water-related stuff. So just within the local construction, we've all heard of the big prime contractors in town. There's Corneo, Donlinger and Sons, there's Wildcat, Pearson, Meese Construction. Those are the big ones. Most of our dollars are there. But then the report will then show me, for example, Pearson Construction gets a lot of construction dollars on there, and the report will show that.
And then, there's a difference between a contract and a subcontract.
Correct. So we issue solicitations for the prime contractor. Now, within those jobs, the primes will go out and look for subs. We don't, as a city, dictate who they use for subs. We don't have anything in the documents or the proposal, the bid documents on them to get subs. So it is up to the prime. So I talk to a lot of small vendors and I point them to this website to see who the primes are and that they need to reach out and they need to make that connection. We've actually hosted a couple events where we've brought in prime contractors, invited all the subs so they can network and meet as well. So we've actually offered that even a couple times to do that. So there is a difference. The prime is actually getting paid directly from us, the sub is getting paid by the prime. Yep.
Do you have any mechanism to design that if a prime is not sufficiently getting minority participation in, as a subcontractor, that you can take some type of action to make sure that they do?
So we don't actually have subcontracting goals. So we have nothing in that mechanism to go back and say, you're not utilizing anybody. Because some won't, depending on the size of the project, the dollar amount, they're not gonna use any subs. But we don't have any goals, any mechanism for that. But with that being said, the city as a whole does have a couple of goals that we do have to follow. If we are using federal funds for any of our projects, be it through the airport, through the FAA, or transit, even our housing department has some federal funds. There's DDE goals established within that, from that agency that we'll have to meet. We also have within the city, we have departmental goals that we want the departments to try to achieve to get. So we don't have subcontracting goals, but if for example, Public Works, if they're not meeting their departmental goal, we can go to them and encourage them, hey, we need to do better. Then we can go out to their primes in order to help them find the vendors to do that so they can meet their departmental goals. We actually give out awards. We do it late May, 1st June. We do it at City Council for the departments that meet their departmental goals. So we have some stuff in there to encourage use, but on the sub part, we don't have established goals for them.
I wanna know how, because I go on the website and I check, to see if you have solicitations for bids to be put in. But the thing is, I'm not always on there. Are you working on a way to notify, if I have a cleaning business, which I do, but if I wanted to just make sure, I know when you have a bid in for a cleaning business, are you working on notifying or sending out emails? Cause I never know, and I can't remember to always check the website.
Great question. Actually, so I mentioned we use a 5-digit commodity code system for all of our solicitations. These are established by NIGP, which is the National Institute of Governmental Procurement. That 5-digit code, when you register as a vendor, you put it on your profile. When we issue the solicitation, if you're on that commodity code, you'll get an email from us. So you don't even have to go monitor our system. So that's already there. It already works. You said janitorial?
Yes.
Okay. That particular line of work, we issue typically one proposal, and they'll group different groups in there. So we're not constantly putting out a solicitation for janitorial. We kind of wrap that into bigger groups and award multiple from there. But yeah, we do have a system that does that already. So I encourage the vendors, make sure you have commodity codes. We'll accept as many as you want to mark on there that your company does. We just don't accept all, because nobody can do all.
How often do they come out, do you post solicitation for the janitorial or any?
Well, I know janitorial just wrapped up a huge proposal here over the last couple months, and they awarded multiple contracts out of that. I don't wanna go out and say it's once a year, because I don't actually handle the janitorial side, but it was a large proposal that they did, and it just went out into 2018.
How will you sit down with somebody that wants to start their own business and guide them through the steps? Because we hear a lot of people wanting to do things, and because I'm hearing things all day I didn't know. And I've been active in the city of Wichita for a long time. Somebody needs to get out where you are and get out to the public and let the people know what's happening. How will they not do that?
Absolutely, and I'm gonna actually let Wayne answer that. The city is looking for established vendors who are ready to bid and hit the road and do the work. I've sat down with a lot of vendors who want that guidance. We've got a lot of great resource partners here in the city that I'll direct them to help them. SBA is always the first one I send them to in order to do that, so I'll let you answer that. I don't know if you want.
Good morning. Good morning. All right, I'm Wayne Bell, District Director with the Small Business Administration here in town. I want to thank Council Member Johnson for coordinating this meeting, for allowing me a little time to visit with you all. This is really a great opportunity. And so to Chris Hazlett and I work very close together as part of a group, and also with USD 259 Purchasing Division, we meet on a monthly basis, and it's around contract opportunities within the city, also within USD 259, how they can perhaps make their purchasing policy more inclusive, so that more small disadvantaged businesses, minority-owned businesses can get in the game. Where SBA comes into play, we have the resources and the partners to help you guys develop your plans for starting a business. You know, how do you develop a business plan? How do you market a business? How do you access capital? On and on. Those resources that are all going to help you as you move forward in business. We host a number of workshops, or we partner in a number of workshops on a monthly basis. We hold other events. There's an event I'd like every supplier in the room to just have on your radar. Chris and I are going to be a part of a group planning a procurement conference, or a suppliers conference. It's going to be at Textron Aviation, June the 11th. Okay, and so if you're a contractor, if you're a supplier, and you're providing goods and services that you think the city ought to purchase, or perhaps one of our aviation companies, or perhaps the federal government, you need to get involved and check out this suppliers conference. But those are the kinds of activities that we do. So business mentoring came up just a minute ago, and there's a resource. It's called SCORE. All right, and these are retired executives that do some business mentoring. They also put on workshops, but they work one-on-one with business owners in the development of their plans. What I would like to do, though, I love the idea of getting some of our existing successful local companies to mentor, you know, some of our aspiring business owners and entrepreneurs here, you know, in District 1. I would love to be a part of that. I'll continue the conversation with Councilmember Johnson. We'll figure out how we can go about doing that. We've got some great examples. I'll tell you a few companies that you guys have already heard mentioned. So Cornejo and Sons. You perhaps have heard of Diggs Construction. You may have heard of JR Custom Metal Fabrication. These companies also participated in SBA's 8A Business Development Program. That program helped them to formalize their operations, helped them to win government contracts and other contracts, and those companies now are great success stories. We need to get more companies like our janitorial service representative in the back. There was a company, an entrepreneur who owns a janitorial service. Federal contracting, as well as, you know, city and local government contracts, there's a tremendous amount of opportunity in that area. McConnell Air Force Base, as an example, janitorial services at McConnell Air Force Base, that's big business. So that's the kind of entity that with the 8A program, you could take your business to a whole nother stratosphere. So I'm here to answer questions, and I just want to show you guys, I have a folder, that I brought with resource guides, a couple of handouts on access to capital, my business card, and this, you know, is really pretty comprehensive and should help you guys a lot. But I'm going to hang around and love to take any questions. So, thank you.
And before I forget, besides SBA, there's two other organizations that I typically send vendors to. One is called the Kansas Small Business Development Center. They're located out of Wichita State. Marcia Stevens runs that group, and they're a great one to point to help businesses grow. They got a lot of different workshops and classes they provide. And then another one, especially for small businesses wanting to get into government contracting, it's called Kansas PTAC, Procurement Technical Assistance Centers. They're also through Wichita State, and they're housed in Old Town. But those are two. Kansas PTAC.
Kansas PTAC.
PTAC. And that stands for Procurement Technical Assistance Center, Scott Knapp, and that's a great group as well, especially for the federal government contracting side. They also do a lot of different workshops in regards to how to respond to proposals, capability statements, stuff like that, really to market to get yourself in front of them.
So PTAC and the other resources that we mentioned are all in this resource guide. How to, apply for a federal tax ID, how to apply for a state sales tax. That's all in this resource guide. It's our local resource guide, so it's got Wichita State contacts, everything. But Kansas PTAC, it's a group that Chris and I partner with, work with very closely, and they will help you as you're attempting to subcontract. Maybe you're not ready to be the prime contractor, right? But you can subcontract on a number of local government jobs as well as federal jobs. And so PTAC is a group that can help with that also.
Yes.
I have a couple questions. Do you guys have any programs where, like, such as myself, we could learn, like, these type of things and maybe start like a nonprofit organization to teach the kids? Because everything that I'm trying to do as far as a business is for my children. Not necessarily just me, but I know that if you're not born with wealth or a person doesn't have the knowledge of money or business, you're already behind. So is there any type of like groups or organizations that train young brothers such as myself or young men who have been incarcerated such as myself who have come home at a change and want to get into business and not allow their past life to still affect their future?
From the city purchasing side, no, we don't have anything like that. Again, we're looking to expand our vendor base with vendors that are already ready to go and hit the ground running. There is a need for that. I've had vendors come in with your situation you talked to, sit and talk to me. So I kind of went over how we do our solicitations, how to register as a vendor, but then pointed them to our resource partners to get them out and to make contacts that way.
Really appreciate you sharing that. And so anybody can come to our office and get one-on-one counseling. Whether you're looking to start a business, even if you're looking to start a nonprofit, you can come to the SBA to talk to us. We're going to get you with that group I talked about, SCORE, and they can step you through. They have time to work with you one-on-one in the details of your business plan, that kind of thing. Technically, to use SBA financing, you have to be a for-profit entity. And we can talk to you and give you and connect you with resources to help you establish your nonprofit. But as you move forward, it has to be a for-profit business to utilize SBA financing, that kind of thing. There are a number of groups beyond SCORE, that come to mind. Be surprised, what is it? You've got the Heartland Chamber, that is a group of minority business owners that certainly can help you and provide, additional information, mentoring, that kind of stuff. Number of resources. Wichita State, I'll go back to Mr. Barnes' comment. There are a lot of resources at Wichita State. We partner with Wichita State quite a bit. I know that the Innovation Campus, that's there and it's available for our community. It's available for your community to go and utilize and continue to, move your ideas forward. So I would encourage you to reach out to us. You got my contact information. If you grab one of these folders, you got my contact information, and I'd love to visit with you.
Can you say your address?
Yeah. Okay, so we are at 220 West Douglas, Suite 450, downtown Wichita. So it's the Garvey Center. We're in the Page Court building. So it's the U.S. Small Business Administration. We're open for business, and looking forward to talking to you.
Yes.
It's kind of a kudo, I about to Wayne in here. When you say about educating and mentoring in here, SBA and SCORE have been around for years. I went through the SCORE class probably 20 years ago in here. They give you a certification, so it ain't nothing that hasn't just gotten created, ain't been around in here. Or Berkeley's been through it. And so a lot of people that you know have gone through it. Now, those people, this is free help in their SCORE, and they help you from 1 step all the way up to 10 steps in here. I've taken some of the class, some of them I've taken twice, and I don't even have a business but rental. But they tell you enough about how to start it and encourage everyone else to. We got to take some ownership. When I go to these classes in here, I'll look up here. It may be 10, 12 people in there, and just me, and the rest of them are looking like everybody else. I'm just saying, it's not because it's not available and we're shut out of it. It's that we don't take the time to go through the steps to get us where we need to be. And when he asked about contacting minority contractors and businesses and stuff here, and they have a list of those. Now, we don't even know who most of our minority contractors are in here, so I don't expect him to know for us to reach out. But so we have to do them. We got a Black Chambers, they need to be in here next, in here, tell them about what all services they provide and how they do it. And we have 2 of them, but
all they gotta do, we on the website, we've asked.
we don't want a website. We want
Look,
you
we've
up
had
here.
meetings and people don't show up.
All right, so back to the presentation today.
And Mr. Barnes, I'd like to point out in what you said, and that actually came up when Mr. Johnson and I talked, it was getting in front of you to let you know who and where those resources are. You said it, a lot of people just don't know they're even out there, which is what spurred this whole conversation to have me come today and maybe even wanting as well, is to let you know what's out there and really who to point you to.
You said, young lady, that you were over construction, concrete and stuff like that. And I have friends who was in concrete, and they said the reason why a lot of minorities don't go after those subcontracts is because they break them up to the point where they're not profitable to go after those contracts. Because instead of you laying a whole street sidewalk, you get one piece of the sidewalk, then you gotta go over 3 blocks and lay one piece of the sidewalk. Then you gotta go around the corner and lay one piece of the sidewalk. So it's not profitable to go after those subcontracts because you have to do so much setup and breakdown plus the cost of the concrete until it's not even worth pursuing. And so I say that to say, how do we make these contracts so that these people who do go after them and pursue them can be profitable?
Let me answer that one. You're asking them to break it down to where Lonnie and one other guy can go out here and fix a sidewalk in here. And so guys, what I'm saying is that we have multiple companies. We got multiple electricians, we got multiple concrete layers in here. It is upon us to work together and collaborate, pull our resources together. A lot of these jobs we talk about with the city and the school board in here, they require certain insurance and liability insurance. They require certain other things that most of our small 1-2-man companies cannot afford to pay for.
But keep in mind, honey,
But what I'm saying,
I'm subcontracting off of your big contract, but you're only giving me enough to break even. I can't even make a profit.
so what I'm saying, if you combine your resources, you could be a contractor, not the subcontractor.
Yeah, joint venturing, you're right. The city, we look at all of our procurements on how we can unbundle them. Is there a way we can unbundle them and instead of putting out that small work for you to become a subcontractor on, can we put that out as an actual bid and then you be the prime on? That's something we always look at to do that, because we don't dictate who they sub, how much they sub, but can we unbundle these projects? And we always are constantly looking at that.
Thank you.
Yes.
Just a point of clarification. Your 17% number that you quoted, that is just prime contract work? Because you mentioned that you don't track subcontract work.
So that 17% is prime contract work that we've paid out. I do track subcontracting, once we actually look at the subcontractors report it, and our subcontracting is self-reported, it takes us up to about 22%. So it actually increases it even more. So my 17% is actual who we paid is the prime. But once I look at that subcontract reporting, it's even higher. And one thing we'd like to do better right now, we only report subcontracting on our construction-related jobs. And I'd like to see us gather more subcontracting information on professional services, engineering jobs, because I know that happens. I know we would do land planning, do some of the federal stuff. They have subcontracting. We just don't right now gather those. So yeah, it actually goes up even higher once we bring in those numbers. Yes.
Question.
Yeah.
When we see the federal dollars,
Right.
Does the city make the decision whether to put those dollars on the construction side or on the professional services side? In other words, does the city have the power to make that decision where those federal dollars go? Construction side or professional services side?
It would depend on why they're trying to get the funding. For example, when we built a brand new airport, when we got the funding to build the airport, that funding was to build the airport. The engineering work was already done. Now that would have been done separately, and I don't know what, and actually the engineering side of that was actually before I ever came on board. So it depends on the project and the application to get that funding source. It would already be mentioned in there.
And so, real quick, so the federal goals broadly are this: 23% of all federal contracts, there's a target that 23% would be done with small business in general. And that's a small business can be a pretty good sized company. That can be all the way up to 500 employees. Okay, so small business is actually pretty big. Then there's some other targets. For women-owned small business, the target is 5%. For small disadvantaged business, the target is another 5%. For historically underutilized business zones or hub zones, that is 3%. And then for service-disabled veteran-owned firms, that is 3%. Okay, so those are the federal targets. And I'll tell you, the federal government spends on an annual basis over $500 billion nationwide on an annual basis. $500 billion. That's our KT-46 tanker to right down to office supplies. Okay. In Kansas, the number is like $1.5 billion on an annual basis in federal dollars. What I'd love to see, and certainly right here in District 1, but throughout the city, we really do need to see more diversity in our suppliers and our contractors. It's critical for the lifeblood of our communities. You know, we need the jobs, we need, the economic development. So, you're hearing the information today. I'm hearing great ideas. Let's continue, to talk about it and to move forward and make progress around this. I know that the city of Wichita is very committed to, diversifying their supply chain, to utilizing more women and minority suppliers. So, and I also know the commitment is there in USD 259. So all we need is for you all to continue to get in the game or inspire other people to get in the game, connect with the right resources so they have the help and everything they need to be successful. I'd love to see more of our young people, our young men, women, moving forward and being those next success stories down the road.
Got time for one more question.
So what is your definition of a disadvantaged business?
So a disadvantaged business, it's the state of Kansas's definition, and I think even the feds use it as well. It's socially and economically disadvantaged. And then there's actually criteria from there, but as in a nutshell, that's it, socially and economically disadvantaged.
And the socially disadvantaged is basically, your traditional minority groups, Native American, African American, Alaskan Native, on and on, but certainly women. And then the economic disadvantage aspect is being in a really distressed economic environment, that sort of thing. So you know, where you don't have a lot of resources. So that's broadly the definition of a small disadvantaged business.
All right, so I believe our time is up again. Councilmember Johnson, thank you again for letting me come out. This was great. I think it was something that we're time and repeat it, because again, we want to get out there in the community and let you guys know that we are open for business. This is how you do business. This is what we're looking for. This is who I can point you to if it's not something that directly maybe the city can help you with. But a couple things real quick. I mentioned Brad Snap with housing. So Housing and Community Services, he's overseeing that program. His email address real quick is bsnapp@wichita.gov. I believe it's the RAD program. It's all the public housing. That's who I would reach out to for that. Next month, I believe it's, Camila, is it the 21st?
Yes.
The 21st. Right here, I think it's going to be in this room. Purchasing department, we're going to host a prime contractors forum. It's open to all prime contractors and those that would want to be subcontractors. It's going to be related to our construction related. We're going to have public works, transit, airport. They're going to kind of give a snapshot of the next 2 or 3 years, what projects they're looking for. And again, it's going to be construction related. We're actually looking at doing an engineering one in the fall, so I'll have more information out on that one. But we're going to do the prime one here. And so it's here, the 21st, I think it's at 9 o'clock, and it's only going to go till 11. And then last but not least, I'm going to leave my card again, email, call, come up and visit me. Our offices are always open as well. And then my very last one is on our vendor services website. If you do go there, there's a big bold note in red. We are actually in the process of updating our computer system. We're going to get a brand new vendor services website going live January 2nd of 2020. Tracy and I don't know what it's even going to look like yet. But I do know once the plan is to have that system go up live, I think in July or August, and then we're going to start doing weekly training for vendors to come in and see the new system, get put back and re-registered in the system. As far as how we do our work with solicitations and all that, none of that's going to change. It's just going to be a new system. But more information will come out on that when we have it. But this time, you guys, thank you so much. It was great questions, and I think you have an answer.
This is one of the best forums ever, thank you.
Thank you, Chris and Mr. Bell. Please give them a round of applause again. Great information, and the challenge is to reach out. So if you know folks, tell them to reach out to those gentlemen. We want to help out. So with 15. Yeah, Camila wants a commercial break.
Did you tell me a March commercial break?
Oh, yes, before you all leave, the breakfast in March, again, I tried to move these around our district once a quarter. So March we will be at Linwood Rec Center, same time, 9:30. So again, in March we'll be at Linwood. We want to engage the southern part of our district. So if you know folks out there, please tell them they haven't been to a breakfast because they didn't want to travel this far up north. We're going to be in their backyard. And we'd love to have them show up. Let them know the RSVP if they want breakfast is $5, but if they just want to show up and be in attendance, it's free. But if they want to eat that good food that was back there, it's $5. But we will be there again, Linwood in March, 9:30.
I get to steal the mayor's thunder and give you a pre-highlight of something he's gonna announce this Thursday at the mayor's news briefing. Atwater Neighborhood Resource Center in Colvin will be Colvin Neighborhood Resource Center pilot projects to offer families the opportunity to check out a hotspot and receive free Wi-Fi in their home for 2 weeks and then recheck it out if they're still available. So,
Yay.
I'm gonna tell because she's not here. But I don't want y'all to record this. Like the young lady up front who's volunteering, I asked her through Messenger, do you have Wi-Fi? So I'm like, your family's gonna be the first. So on Thursday, you bring your mom up here. You have to be 18 or older. And so there's 2 teenagers in the home who could be doing some homework, who don't have to get out the house. And so that's the purpose of that. Or someone could be applying for a job. So I just wanna just give that little shout out. So on Thursday, again, these are, purchased through T-Mobile and they're hotspots. And we have the opportunity, we will cut it off after 2 weeks for you to return it. Seriously, and you get a reminder email that your 2 weeks is coming up, but you can recheck it out. And so we have 20 here at Atwater and they have 20 at Coburn Resource Center. So we're honored for me and Julie to host that pilot program here. So you'll see it on the mayor's news briefing and then we'll roll it out probably Thursday afternoon or Friday morning.
Always good reasons to come to the District 1 breakfast. You hear about all the cool stuff. So I've actually never used this, so if I mess up, I apologize. There are many people who were curious about the aquatic center here in Wichita. I don't have the full one here today because that's every district and a lot more slides, but this is what's going on, basic information, cost, what it's gonna look like, as well as everything that's gonna happen in District 1. So I have really not publicly said much about saving McAdams Pool, but at this point, it is saved.
And then you'll
All right.
slide right in.
So these are the pools here in Wichita, and that map doesn't look as good on the wall, so we'll skip that one. So these are the options for those who haven't seen the options before. Option 1 was the plan that was approved already. It was $22 million. You had 3 rebuilt regional pools, an updated neighborhood pool, which was College Hill, and 7 new splash pads. That was the most expensive plan. It was already approved. Again, the history, we didn't have a location for District 1 between McAdams and Edgewater. Option 2 was 1 water park, would have been $10 million, so bigger than Derby's water park, at McAdams. And then every other pool would have closed and we would have 9 splash pads. That was the second most expensive option at $18 million. And then option 3, which really is what the community wanted in the first place, leaves you 6 updated neighborhood pools and 6 new splash pads. So we are also making some changes because Councilmember Meitzner and I, and the rest of the council too, were kind of frustrated on our hours of operation. So, you know, the pools weren't opening until like 1 o'clock. So we're changing the hours as well as the length of time the pools are gonna be open going forward. So as you can see, they'll be open from 11 a.m. to 5 and then 6 to 8 Monday through Friday, noon to 6 Saturday and Sunday. Our pools weren't open all the time on the weekends when everybody really wanted to use them. And then the new season, Memorial Day to the start of school, and weekends only after school starts until Labor Day. So a much longer season, longer hours, hoping to get much more use out of our pools.
Why
So
are you closing between 5 and 6?
it's a great question that I don't have the answer to, but Monday night at 6 o'clock, Troy Houtman will be here to give the aquatic presentation to the district advisory board. He may have an answer for you. So scenario 3, this is kind of where the council's leaning at this point. The most affordable plan and also gives the greatest access. So the pools that would be open are Ailey, College Hill, Harvest, McAdams, Manissa, and Orchard, splash pads, Boston, Edgemoor, Evergreen, Harrison, Linwood, and Plainview. This is our cost information. I am very excited about the splash pad in Plainview.
Yes.
Plainview has not had a lot of investment and they are gonna have an awesome splash pad. Monday night, if you wanna see what it looks like, come here, 6 o'clock, district advisory board meeting. So this was the basic plan, and this is what many of you had seen before. This would have been some upgrades to infrastructure, filters, piping, a little bit of zero depth entry, but just some basic upgrades to the swimming pools and of course the cost of all the splash pads. This is the enhanced. This came from, again, as I've been saying since before I was a council member, when you talk to young people, they want fun stuff. They don't just want a rectangle full of water. Many of us grew up on that. I love jumping into a rectangle of water, but kids want splashy stuff and slides and things they can do more so than just floating in the water and doing cannonballs. So these are the operational costs of a splash pad. So on average, $20,000 a year. Swimming pools in the plan, $104,000 a year. And our existing splash pads. Again, I'm skating through this. Troy will go through this in much more detail because because I know you all really want to see what it looks like. This is McAdams Pool. This is the proposal for a competition pool. So what I continued to hear, and staff, because staff came with us, was we wanted competition. We wanted to have teams that swim, and there's two options, this is the first. And this gives you the competition, all the swim lanes, and it gives you some fun stuff. So ADA access, splash ground with the fence, a wet deck, which would be over where the toddler pool is now, the white octagon. That's where that would be at. As you can see, it keeps the infrastructure Mr. McAfee designed. That was something that the community wanted to see. We've done that. And that is the competition pool. This also is not necessarily what the kids want. So what the kids want would be the play pool option. So as you can see, much more stuff, an awesome slide. Can't read that over there, but some seating in the pool, a climbing wall, basketball goals, volleyball nets, ADA access, zero depth entry, toddler slide, all of this in the pool, and we still have the white octagon. So, when you merge what our young people wanted and what the council was trying to do, this is an amazing compromise from what we originally saw. This is amazing from having no pool at all. And so, all of the young people that spoke up at Leoverture, Gordon Parks, Camila, I'm forgetting some schools we went to, McAdams yesterday, Leoverture was there. They wanted some things that they could have fun in the water, and we've done that. So this is the two options for McAdams Pool. Again, effectively save the pool. This is some financial information. I'll leave that up there because I know some people want to read that. This is what would happen with our CIP with the plan. So again, this 22 million was the original. It would have taken us through 2024 to get all of that done. As a council, we want all of this done as soon as possible. So as you can see, all spending will be done in 2020. That means by next year, everything you will see on Monday or have seen in our workshop, and especially what I just showed you, will be done. So we'll have our 6 pools, all of our splash pads will be done by next year. Okay, I lost it. So I had designs, we'll have to bring that up on Monday, of our splash pad. So I will go through that with you just a little bit. It is online. I wanted to show you that, but basically there's a jelly bean splash pad at Edgemoor. It's not on there. I had the wrong one. There's a jelly bean splash pad at Edgemoor, and it would take up the space that is in there now. So when you think of splash pads, you might think Fairmount or Riverside. It's not that at all. These balls will be probably this tall with different water spouts going all throughout it. It will be almost like an obstacle course full of water and fun stuff for kids to go through. So these splash pads are much different than what you see currently. And then Linwood is a similar version of the same where the current pool is at. So that means that the infrastructure that's already there will stay there and the splash pads will go in. Again, all of this will happen in 2 years, so our communities won't miss out too much. What you will hear on Monday, and if you go to any of the other district advisory boards, is kind of where our pools are. So this new plan really addresses the access that I talked about last June, where kids in lower income areas kind of struggle to get out to these YMCAs that are on the outskirts. Nothing bad against the Y, it's just not that close to some of these areas. And on the east and west side, you have a bunch of HOAs that have community pools and folks who have pools in their backyard. So it's not as much of a need to have these city pools in that area because someone may just go outside, call their friend and say, I'm coming over and jumping in your pool. Here, we don't have that access in those different areas. So this plan really does address that. More people will be able to use our public pools, but the challenge will be on us all to make sure that they get usage. So we have effectively with McAdams, we've saved it, but we have to make sure it gets used. So that means some of us adults with kids, we're kicking them kids out of the house and sending them to the swimming pool and making sure they swim. There will also be swimming lessons so they can learn how to swim. That was one of the other key things we heard about having swimming pools in these areas. So again, it's incumbent upon us to continue to use these facilities as they improve. That will be done by next year. We'll also have more of a report on College Hill Pool, because it said that we saved it, but we don't have the diagrams of what happened, so we'll make sure we get that information out as well. So that is the real quick overview of the District 1 Aquatics Plan. I see one question. Ms.
Well, it
Trish.
was just one of the things I thought was key in this thing was that we're using only 16 million of the 22 million SIP,
Right.
which I was like, whoop. But the thing is, they're taking that extra money and putting it toward long-term maintenance of our facilities. Thank you, so that we have the maintenance that keeps our places nice so we keep using them. So I thought that was really smart and just really appreciate your hard work on this whole plan and well done.
Thank you. And there's also some operational money too to help out. So this new plan really is great for the city. It's very
Just two little questions. So, you know what the current cost of we have for down to the family level for coming into the pool, and is that gonna increase? And the other part, is there any revenue that maybe you're generated, can that be put some sort toward the facility, the McAdams Park building itself, it needs work?
Cost-wise for usage, I think the last cost was $2. I have been pushing really hard to keep it at $2 and no more than $3 because we want lower income folks to be able to use it. Rec center wise, honestly, all that revenue really needs to stay in the pool system to make sure our pools this plan really looked at the pools that have 10 to 15 years of life left. We want to make sure that money stays in there. As far as the rec center, I haven't talked a whole lot publicly because I don't want the word commitment there, but I am working on ways to get a brand new rec center. That rec center needs too many upgrades. We need something new there. So that is something I'm working on. Don't have concrete steps yet, but it is something that I would love to see here in the next 5 years. And I believe anything is possible. That continues to be proven to me over and over. Things that we've been saying could not happen, continue to happen. So we are working on it.
So 5 years means a second term for you?
That means that whether I win or lose, I'm gonna keep fighting to make sure that happens.
Let's go.
Any other questions on aquatics?
When you say this next year, are you talking about these facilities being open and used this next summer?
That is what we're all pushing for.
Okay.
So, I'll say this, so the elected folks always say that we want these things to happen in the way that construction folks always say maybe cannot happen. So we just consistently say we need that to happen, and hopefully it will, but the folks in Wichita have been really good about kind of making it happen around the time we want, but for the community's sake and having these awesome pools and splash pads, we really do believe we can have all of it done by 2020. I can't say they all will be open in 2020, because some may be still being constructed, but I would assume by 2021, everything's open and going. Any other questions before I touch on two other things? Going once, twice. All right, so we have our Taking Action on Violence meeting that I said earlier, so make sure you're there February 23rd. Again, that's free. And the goal is to figure out what we can do as a city, as a community, to address violence. It's not all gang members. Some of this is domestic violence.
Yes.
What can we do about domestic violence? So these are conversations we're having. We invite everybody to the table. Active gang members, inactive gang members, folks who have been survivors of domestic violence, folks who have been survivors of other violence. They're all there to talk about their stories and how to prevent these things from happening. We know we can't prevent everything, but if we can get involved, know one another, and really begin to implement these things, it happens. I always bring up Mr. Roseborough's suggestion, bless you, of knowing all your neighbors, 6 houses down on either side and across the street. That goes a long way, because you can tell when somebody's having a bad day or something wrong, and you can engage them and see what's going on. Maybe they're having a tough time and lost a job and just having some mental stress at that point. I think if we're engaging one another, we can begin to find those solutions. So again, that meeting, February 23rd, at the center, 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock. Neighborhood grants, we still have money left. So if you're in the neighborhood, there are income guidelines. We've only spent about half of the $124,000 that was allocated. But apply, we've got applications here at Atwater. They're also online. Fill them out. Dead tree removal or tree trimming, sidewalk repair, and deed work on the house. So if you've inherited a house and you don't have the legal paperwork to show you own it, that is part of this, as well as special projects. So some neighborhoods have done community gardens, some have had signs for their neighborhood association made that kind of notify folks what's going on. So again, we have those applications. You can talk to Camila more about that. She has all of that wonderful information.
My question is concerning the tree removal. How can you get them to lower the guidelines just for a few more dollars? I'm the only one working in my home. My husband is disabled now. He became disabled like out of that 3-year plan we was working on.
Right.
And disabled, so then only one income coming in, and that puts our monetary deal at a disadvantage, because we have like trees growing like crazy around there. And we try to pay for it yearly to get it cut down or pruned or somehow, but come fall and spring, they're like, did I just prune this tree to grow faster? You know, because it costs so much to cut them down or remove them. And I don't know, it just looked like somebody planted a forest around the whole acreage of my lot, and I can't compete. It's getting harder to compete to cut. They're towering over my home, so I wanted to know, who do you talk to just lower it just a tiny bit? It's just like I'm right there on the nose of making it.
So I would reach out to Camila. So you're here now, so we'll make that connection and see how we can help you with that. Any other questions for me? Okay, Camila has a few announcements, and then we'll wrap up for today.
He said, yes, roast said, here he is. Yes, sir. Where's the March breakfast at? We're listening. So, free tax services are taking place all around Wichita. There's over 20 sites that have free tax services. The income guideline is 60,000 or 62,000 or less. So, a lot of us qualify for that free tax service. Call United Way 211. And here's my little selfish thought that I'll say out loud. Some people are calling us from El Dorado, and I say, what's your zip code? I need you to call 211, because I have people walking here to this site. So I've been a little selfish, and I'm gonna admit that, of trying to schedule people in our zip codes to come to this building. So if you know someone that lives on another side of town, suggest they call United Way 211 versus, ours is not the only site. We love y'all, but we're not the only site. We're trying to accommodate people's transportation needs. The Beyond Tolerance Center dialogue flyer is at the table. A lot of us talk about we want to change, we want to have diversity, but here's an opportunity to be involved. And here's my example. Last year I signed up for dinner dialogue, I got the address, and my guilty thought was, I know this person, I don't want to go to their house. Because I already love them, I already know them. But I'm glad I went to their house. Because when I went to her house, I was the only person under 40 and black. And so when they mix you up on purpose based on your race, religion, and age, and you sit at the table and you have true dinner dialogue, it's powerful. I went to Trish's home. I was like, no, I already talked to Trish, I want to go somewhere else. But no, it was worth it, it was so well worth it. And we're gonna host one here at Atwater, and Linwood Rec Center, and Evergreen Rec Center also. So the city is on board and sponsoring 3 meals. If you choose to be a host, you actually prepare a vegetarian meal because you don't know who's coming to your home and their dietary needs, or you can sign up and go to a home and participate. But really want to encourage us, if we really want to be involved, let's do something in action and sign up for the dinner dialogue on February 21st. And then lastly, if you have any old prescriptions at home, liquids or patches, we have deterra bags. They're like Alka-Seltzer bags. You just put the pills in them and they dissolve at home, or you can take them to the drop boxes like at some local Walgreens or CVS's for free. There's an entire bag, the back table. You can take some to your neighborhood association meeting, your church, your relatives, your neighbors, your friends, and that's all, folks.
I'll be really quick. My name's Donna Neal. Some of you know me in the room. I serve on the Library Board for District 1 as well as Lamont Anderson. If you know him, he serves
serves on the library board, for this one. We just wanna be a sounding board for the library. We wanted to promote the after hours and, computer lab. It is on Monday and Thursdays from 6 to 9. It's an open lab. I know it probably reads like you have to sign up. That's how it reads to me, but it's a Google Technical lab where you can go and get digital applied skills for Google. You can also get resume work, printing work, and then research work. So, it's very friendly, user friendly. There's a computer tech that's there. There's also a librarian that is there for your needs. And we also do, like I said, we want to be a sounding board for the library. So if you have any feedback for the library and this lab in particular, please contact me and Lamont. My email is CABONNENEAL@outlook.com. Lamont is LAMONTALA7@gmail.com. That's Lamont, ALA7@gmail.com. We want to be able to serve for you.
Thank you, Donna. Again, as we wrap up today, the breakfast in March is at? What time? Awesome. I want to thank Camila and LaSharay for all their work this morning on the breakfast. Thank you all for being here. If you have any questions for me, please let me know. I hope to see you all next month. Thank you for being here. Or Monday.
Do you need me anymore? No, thank